Hi, my name is Airyus, and I play Blades. This series of videos will focus on providing you with different methods of creating loadouts to help you be prepared for all the different opponents you will meet. There are literally millions of possible combinations and build ideas, of course, which will vary even greater based on playstyle. My goal in this video is to give you some ideas that can help get you started, or maybe provide a different approach to help you develop your own builds and playstyles. To start, let's talk about inventory. Personally, and from what I've seen with most, 75 to 95% of inventory will more than likely be utilized to carry all of your gear. So make sure you have plenty of inventory slots. Typically around 100 is good, 120 is even better. Now, first thing to consider when choosing your gear is how you will build for physical, spell, and the various elemental resistances. I carry a Daedric plate set and a Dragon Scale set. You'll notice one is heavy and one is considered light. With this, plate gives me around 900 plus armor rating, while my scale set is around 700 plus. Even though my plate set has a higher armor rating, that doesn't mean it will negate more damage. From what I've gathered, there is a 10-to-1 ratio on armor rating to physical and elemental damage, whereas there is a 1-to-1 ratio on resistances. So if you have a set that gives you an armor rating of 1000, that will negate 100 points of physical and elemental damage. On the flip side, if you have a set that gives you 800 armor rating plus 120 fire resistance, that will negate 80 points of physical and elemental damage plus an additional 120 fire damage. If you like math, then you can understand how resistances are more valuable than armor rating in certain situations. Hopefully, that helps with understanding how to mitigate damage more effectively. Now, on to this video's feature build. The main purpose of this build is to stack elemental damage with an increased chance to apply its condition. Frost will apply the slow or freezing condition, fire will burn for damage over time, poison will also poison for damage over time, and shock will drain magicka. Although you could apply any of the elements to this build, which really increases the versatility of this setup, I will only focus on using the frost element. The reason for this is because I believe that frost is one of the most deadliest elements in the arena. Not because of the damage, but because of the freezing effect. When frozen, you will notice your character take longer to attack and block. This delay can severely affect the outcome of the match. Additionally, in my testing, it appears that applying frost to your opponent increases your chances of making your opponent low block. That means you can continue to swing through your opponent without having to worry about being stunned. It also appears that draining your opponent's stamina achieves the same result. So really, the main secret to this build is to stack the secondary enchantment bonus Elemental Damage Ignores Resistance, or EDIR. The reason why this ends up being so strong is because it won't matter if your opponent is wearing full resistance against your element. You will have enough piercing damage to get through their resistances and still apply the frozen status effect. This can be stacked on your gauntlets and jewelry pieces. So, how you stack EDIR is entirely up to you. My preference is to try and stack it with all possible pieces, along with Physical Damage Ignores Resistance, or PDIR. For primary enchantments, we'll use Stamina, since this build is all about swinging your weapon and applying the status effect to slow them down and force a low block. So with Stamina primary enchantments on gauntlets and jewelry, you should be able to generate stamina over time and generate stamina while damaging your opponent. Effectively, this will allow you to have enough stamina to successfully use multiple skills from the Quick Strikes tree. That means each time you use a skill, you're hitting them twice, giving you an increased chance to apply the status effect. Also, Piercing Strikes, with its secondary component of elemental damage piercing, is a great skill to have that pairs well with this build. Feel free to experiment with some of the other stronger skills as well, like Staggering Bash or Guard Breaker. But to effectively use this build, I recommend having Recovery Strikes, Piercing Strikes, and Quick Strikes. Your Quick Strike slot can be the flexible slot where you want to try to use Guard Breaker or maybe even Staggering Bash if you use it with a shield. Now for the weapon or weapon and shield combo, obviously you'd want to go with the Frost primary enchantment. As a secondary enchantment, having the Frost is X points more effective at freezing is going to be a must-have as well. If you can get it both on your weapon and shield, it would be much more effective, and I recommend using this build with a weapon and shield. Now, the primary enchantments for the rest of your gear should be health. Generally speaking, it's entirely up to you and your playstyle, and there's really not just one setup that is supreme in all situations. I do have a health set of armor, but I also pair it with other sets that have various different types of resistances. Many people are successful using various types of builds. You just have to find what works best for you. For secondaries, I continue to recommend using spell resistance and resist physical damage and critical health, but many of the others can be useful as well. For more about enchanting other pieces of your gear, please refer to my enchanting videos. Link is in the upper right corner. Like I mentioned, you could use this same build with other elements, as it is not focused on a specific element, just focused on applying their status effect. You will find that many of the more experienced combatants will not just use one type of weapon or one set of armor. They try to anticipate what you will use and build a counter loadout against it, which is why you must also do the same. I hope this helps you with building more useful loadouts to be used in PvP or PvE. As always, please like and subscribe, as that helps me in creating and providing more content to you. My name is Airyus, and I play Blades. Cheers!